Hello, Archbishop Gomez. Well, much love and many blessings to you. This is Jennifer A. Bear here. I made a couple other videos for you last week. Just to let you know, I was in those videos going by the American pronunciation of my name, which is Hebert. But I'm a singer. I'm a professional singer-songwriter. You can find my music on iTunes, on Spotify, on YouTube, all over the internet. My album's called Will You Take a Chance in Faith with Me? There's 2 albums by that name. One is the EP, one's the full-length album. And my name at the time was Jennifer Grace in the Starry Eyes. I'm also an actress and an aspiring model. My daughter Grace is an actress as well, and so is my daughter Audrey. Thanks be to God, we just got signed with an awesome School of Performing Arts in Los Angeles. We've been taking acting classes, and I do believe that we will become famous for God. We are God's stars, and I do feel that God is calling us to be famous actresses and singers, maybe even models, in Los Angeles, so that we can share the many gifts and talents that God has blessed us with to glorify Him, to help build up His heavenly kingdom here on earth, and simply to help make the world a better place, to inspire Hollywood and all of the world with faith, hope, and love, with our faith, hope, and love in our Catholic faith. And really, I feel that God has let me know that we're going to become the first saints of Hollywood. We'll see what happens with that. Not right now. We have a lot of work to do, just like you do. But a long time from now, when we do leave this earth and are called home to heaven, that afterwards we will become the first saints of Hollywood. But anyway, Archbishop Gomez, I don't know, I was going by the American pronunciation in the last videos that I made for you, but my daughter Grace said, Mom, let's go back to going by the French pronunciation. We just think that sounds better. You know, Jennifer A. Bear, Grace A. Bear, and Audrey A. Bear. So anyway, I'm making another video for you to let you know that I've been extremely abused by 5 of the Roman Catholic priests, 5 of your Roman Catholic priests in the LA Archdiocese, and 1 in Southwest Florida. Now, I know you can't do anything about the priest, Father Jerry Cawell. He's very famous on YouTube. He's a Grammy Award-winning priest. I know you can't do anything about how badly he abused me, but I know that there's something that you can, and I reported him in 1995. They did nothing about it. They tried to blame me, make me feel like it was all my fault. They left me for dead practically, and I won't go into all the things that he did to me, but one of the major things is when I met him when I was 18, singing in a talent competition, and he was the Rev That Rocks, the Grammy Award-winning priest, and he pursued me. I was 18, a senior in high school. I was Miss Cape Coral at the time. I won the first beauty pageant that I entered, and then I went on to compete in the Miss America pageant circuit. But anyway, he pursued me the way Christ would pursue me, and Christ did pursue me, and asked me to join his 100-voice choir. At first I was like, no thank you. I'd never sang in a church choir before, but then I did, and a lot of stuff happened, more than inappropriateness. He fixed me up with his brother John when I was 20 and he was 45, and he raped me while he was visiting, doing a big show with Father Jerry in Cape Coral, Florida in March of 1994. Then he flew me out to LA for 3 weeks with Father Jerry for the first whole week, while 3 weeks after Father Jerry broke the news to me that my brother George committed suicide. Supposedly Father Jerry watched us have sex. It was very degrading, very humiliating, very abusive. And like I said, I reported that and a whole bunch of other things to the Diocese of Venice in 1995, and they did nothing about it. They didn't send me for counseling. They sent Father Jerry for counseling, but they just said never talk to him again, never talk to his brother again, never go back to the parish again. Good luck in school, because I was going to Lee Strasberg Theater Institute in New York City studying acting, and they said one day you're going to look back at this and laugh. I've never laughed at it. It really, really almost ruined my life, and it really put me on a path for later on in my life, when I moved to Los Angeles from New York City in 1997, to be abused by these 5 priests. I've been abused by other men. I've been date raped before, and abused by ex-boyfriends, physically abused. I was physically abused by my ex-husband, whom I married in May of 2009, and I left him and filed for divorce in August of 2011 when I was 3 months well, I was pregnant with my precious daughter Grace at the time, but I didn't find out till 3 months later. And when I found out that I was pregnant, it was a blessing. We were practicing natural family planning, so we were open to children, but she was a blessing to me, and she still is, just the way my precious daughter Audrey is. But he was very abusive to me emotionally and physically when I was pregnant with Audrey. So I have been abused by men before, a lot of men. And when men see that, they seem to victimize you more because you're vulnerable, and I don't know why else. But I'll just start off. I'm not going to go into major detail because I only have 10 minutes on this video, but I will just say that it started off after Father Jerry abused me. I left the church for 2 years. I didn't leave my Catholic faith, but when I was living in New York City, I only went to Mass once at St. Cabrini's Medical Center with a friend of mine. I was living in a women's residence run by the Salvation Army in Gramercy Park, and I went with my 86-year-old friend on All Souls Day. But other than that, I did not go to church while I was living in New York. But when I came out to LA, my mother's friend, who was the leader of RCIA, she's now in heaven, kept pursuing me with Christ and asking me to come to church, and that was in Chatsworth, California. I became a Eucharistic minister to the sick and homebound for 20 years, a choir member for 20 years, a catechist for 7 years, a cantor for 7 years, and I gave 2 concerts of my own music. Jennifer Grace and the Starry Eyes, like I said, was my band name. Well, before that, it was just Jennifer Winkowski, my maiden name. But I gave 2 concerts of my own music, and I dedicated my first album, I Will Wait a Lifetime, to that parish in Chatsworth. I left after I got divorced, and I went back in 2016. My daughter said, "Mom, you love to sing, go back." There was a new pastor. The pastor said, "Oh, you could cantor, talk to the choir director." New choir director. I gave him a CD of my music on the first night. Said, "I really want to cantor." For 2 years, he ignored me. He never told me, even if I had a beautiful voice, when all the people, when I cantored, said I had the voice of an angel. He didn't say yes or no if I could cantor. And finally, after 2 years, I said, "Look, if you're not," I emailed him, "if you're not going to even get back to me, I'm going to have to let the Archdiocese handle it," because I had a friend there, one of the sisters of the Company of Mary. I almost became a nun with them when I was 25, but God let me know that he had other plans. And of course, I was destined to be Audrey and Grace's blessed mom. They call me Queen of Moms. But that day that I wrote that email, they called the pastor, Father Lawrence Goodwin, who's no longer there, called my mom and said, "I'm not allowed to come to the choir anymore." I met with him. He kicked me out of my choir. And then supposedly you wrote a letter to the choir members on Archdiocesan letterhead. Somebody showed me, and I believe it said that if I come near the choir room, to call the police, or to if I talk to anybody in the choir, or to come near the choir room, to call the police. I just felt very hurt by that, because I had never met you before, but I did write a letter to you and to the vicar of clergy, and my daughters wrote cards and letters to you begging you for me to come back to the choir, and we never heard back from you. But I did meet you about 3 years ago on my birthday, August 2nd, Our Lady Queen of the Angels, at the cathedral after Mass, and I asked you for a special birthday blessing, and I took a selfie with you. That was the day that the relics of St. Bernadette was there. They did say, the Archdiocese, that I could go back, and ask the new pastor. I'm not going to say his name. He's the pastor of Chatsworth right now parish, and basically I left 3 phone calls. He blew me off, but then I had a manic episode. I went there, took a couple selfies in the church. He didn't say that I could never come back there, but he kicked me out of my parish in 2020, the feast of the Visitation of Mary. He arrested me 5 times for asking to talk to him 6 times. And before that, though, the pastor of Beverly Hills Church, he promised me $20,000 or $2,000 from the Cardinal McIntyre Fund. Then when I told him my Father Jerry story, when I met him, he says, "I can't give you the money." He let me get evicted. I went there. When I got evicted, he told me to sleep in my car. He kicked me out of the parish. Then the pastor pastor of Our Lady of Lourdes. I was there for a year, 2 years ago, and I had a manic episode, and he kicked me out of his parish as well. I want to meet with you this week with these priests so I can offer them forgiveness. I hope that you will reach out to me through Instagram or Facebook, or